Hello, my sewing friends. This is Friday Sews.
Woohoo!
I'm Jen, and this is Friday Sews, when we talk about sewing and life. And click on the hashtag, and you'll go find all kinds of people that do it. And while you're there, don't forget to click on subscribe so you don't miss any of mine. Let's talk about sewing, shall we? Okay. I got no sewing done. None. That's not entirely true because I'm wearing what little sewing I did, but I finished this up. This is Simpicity 8640, and it is probably my favorite dress pattern of all time, thanks to Viv at Vivmon Sews. She made it in a linen one time for Easter, and it was just so pretty. I thought, I never would have imagined that that dress on that envelope front would look this good. So that's why it's my favorite. But I've made it, I don't know, probably 10, 12 times. And several of them are in my closet right now. I think I have 1, 2, 3. I think this will make 4 or 5 in my closet right now. But I've adapted this one because I made this one from a quilting cotton rather than a rayon or something much more drapey. And so this has some drape, but not much because it's a quilting cotton. So what I did was I put fisheye darts in the back, and then I narrowed the skirt on the sides from about hip length down to pull out some of the the sticky out parts. It's not a word. And the hardest part of that was putting the bias back on the hemline because I had kind of trimmed it out with quilt binding that is wide. So it's like almost like a band, but it's just about a 1-inch finish on the bottom, which it looks like this along the hemline. So I did that, and I also added inseam pockets where this before had patch pockets. And I just thought that they didn't, I don't know, they made it look too summery, light, you know, I don't know, more something you'd wear on vacation than every day. I swear that ice maker will be the end of me. One thing I did was something that I learned from Lindsey at Inside the Hem, believe it or not. I have a master pocket piece, and this is it, and I use this all the time to cut my pockets out. But I was afraid that on this, because I had narrowed the side seams enough, I thought those pockets might gape, and I didn't want that. So what I did was, here's my pocket piece, and here's my pocket. Now, here's my fashion fabric that I'm making the rest of the dress or the skirt out of. And I don't have enough of this, let's say. So I take a scrap and I cut a piece of this, just about 2 inches wide. Yeah, that's 2 inches wide. And what I want to do is kind of follow along on the edge of the pocket here. And you can actually even fold your piece back like this at about 2 inches or so, and then use that as your pattern for this. But really, it's just easy to cut a piece and then trim it off. So you're just going to lay this, actually you lay it like this, and then you can flip it over like that, and just at about 1 3/4 inches. So about right there. Yeah. And let's see. That's about 1 3/4 and 1 3/4. And now all you have to do is sew this at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So let me go do that. Okay, so I sewed that at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. All I do now is flip it over, give it a press, and then when I go to sew in my pockets, I will have a little bit of pocket that doesn't show. This doesn't match the rest of the dress, but this does. So when you sew it in, you'll sew it in so that it goes like that, and the pocket won't show, but this will, if it gapes. I had cut off enough, just enough, which was good because I had no more scraps of this fabric because I made it last year. That's a great idea. If you're afraid the pocket might gape in any way, what happens is, if it does, what you see is the dress fabric rather than the off fabric, the off cut fabric, which is this red, you don't see that. You see this. See how that has a strip right there? And it's just a great idea. You have any extra fabric and you are afraid that those pockets, which are cut of a different fabric, and of course mine were because I didn't have any scraps, if you're afraid that they'll gape and show in any way, try that. Just put that little bit of extra fabric on there. And that way, if it gapes, what you'll see is the dress fabric and not the pocket fabric. That's the extent of the sewing. I regret to tell you. I wish I had been here more. One thing I did do in here was evaluate the size of my table, and I'm going to shrink it. It's only by a foot, but I sketched out the whole thing. I used my graph paper, I used my double stick tape and cut out the pieces that are in here and arranged them on the graph paper. I've told you about that before in another video. And when I did that, I saw that if I could just take a foot off this table, that would really be good. The trouble is I'm going to lose 6 of my little cubbies that I have fabric and other things in under this table. So while I'm going to go ahead and get 2 more of the little, I guess you could call them bookcases, but they're little cubbies, you know, they're the little square things. I'm going to do 3 high, 2 wide. I did even think about getting in here with my my circular saw and just, you know, cutting it off. I don't know. I might try that since I'm not going to use these, but I really do need the width here, but I just don't need so much length. And you would be amazed. I was amazed at how much room I gain by just taking away a foot from this table. And I don't think it will hurt me at all. I will still have a nice sized table, which is great. So anyway, that's a very long way to say I did that in here. Ran in and out measuring, you know, and that kind of thing. Looked at whether or not I could shift some things around. And another thing I decided to do was do some upper level shelving over here. I want to put it like up here and here, and possibly more in the room around. Let me pull this here so you're not blinded by that light above me. That's all of that I did. I also was thinking about this. You know, there's an influencer that I watch, and I've gotten some ideas whenever she does like a Walmart haul, or she did a Quince haul. I've never heard of Quince, but I don't know. These people do these hauls, and I see the clothing, and I think, oh, I love that. I could make that, as we do, you know, as sewists. So she did, it just happened to be Walmart this time. She did a haul, and she had on this very cute, like a jogger set. It was a zip front jacket and then a pair of joggers. And I thought, oh, I should find a pattern for that. And I did do a little bit of looking. And of course, my sewing sisters, Christine from Christine Sews a Lot in particular, was so helpful to me. And then I realized, I still maybe will do that. I realized that the reason I'm thinking that would be nice to have is because I'm going to get on a plane in 2 weeks. So I realized I had this already cut out and I've never finished it. It is Simpicity 3640. Let me see if I can get the year. You know, I should start writing the year on the manila envelope on these. That would be smart, wouldn't it? This is from 2007, I think. So it's just a really cute little jogger set. Just like a tracksuit, we used to call them, but you know what I mean, athleisure. But it's really cute, and so it's a sweatshirt and a pair of pants. And I had this fabric, and by the way, these, finish all the crinkling. These project bags are the greatest thing, and I will link them below if you are interested in grabbing some. They come like 12 to a package, and they're only about $10. So anyway, and they zip from either side. So I use these for all of my projects, pretty much. Okay, so this has been cut out for a while. And I started to say I got some Ponte. I think this is Ponte. I don't think this is Scuba. But I got this Ponte, and I didn't know what to do with it. I thought, what am I going to do with that fabric? I want to do something because I don't want to just get rid of it. Now, I did cut this out, and then I got rid of the rest. But I hope I don't make any mistakes, because I always need scraps. But it's this royal blue color, and it's just really pretty. It's got 4-way stretch, and so I thought, well, I'll make this up, and then I'll have something to wear on the plane. I tend to wear dresses everywhere, but last time I got off the plane up there, it was cold. It was not not here, not like it was here. I was so glad to get back home and the warm. Sad to leave the people, but glad for the climate when I got back. So anyway, I'm gonna try and see if I can start working on that, and we'll see. I think inevitably the pants are gonna be too wide-legged, so I'm going to have to pare them down, but I've traced off the pattern, so I have to think in my head I had some semblance of wisdom when I was doing it, and so hopefully I thought ahead and thought I'm gonna do that or whatever. So this looks long to me, and I think this has like pleats at the bottom of it, so I think that's gonna be kind of pretty. Okay, so I'm gonna get to that this week. Actually, I'm gonna get to that tonight, because after I finish doing this filming and editing, I'm gonna get in here and get to sewing, because I'm kind of missing it. So moving on into life, the reason I didn't get stuff done was because I put up my Christmas tree. I just decided this year, I think I'm going to do that really early. Now the tree is all I have done. I still have plastic containers out there that have all kinds of decorations in them. I do not go overboard. I only do a little bit, and by a little bit I mean just, you know, things sitting here and there, and maybe some garland in front of the television. But that's it. I don't go hog wild. And I love all the DIYs and I watch them all the time, but I don't do them because I don't need to. It's enough for me to watch them. But here's what I did. You can kind of see. It sits right there and it makes me happy, and I love that. So the other thing I want to tell you about is this. This is iced coffee. I got these little glasses from Amazon. They look like, I didn't think I was gonna like these at all, but they look like a pop can. And bamboo lid, glass straw. I thought that was a, you know, recipe for disaster, but it's not. They hold up really well, and they make a good way to stir everything. And okay, here's how I do it. I make my coffee in the morning, and usually I make enough for me to have 2 cups and my daughter to have a cup, and then there's a fair amount left over. And what I do is take that, if I need to, and I make ice cubes out of it. And I just pour them into these. These are little ice cube trays that I got. I think I got these from Temu, but Amazon has them. I'll link some below. But you just pour them in, and then you put the top on, and you get little circles fit together just like that, and you get little balls. And so then I keep those in the freezer, and when I go to make my iced coffee, I do that about once a week. I make the ice cubes, and if I want more coffee to make more ice cubes, I make more coffee and then let it sit and cool off. But then the rest of the week I'm able to go get that cooled coffee after I make it in the morning, and I can fill this with the coffee ice cubes, and then pour my leftover coffee over it, and then just put in sweetener and milk or cream, whatever you like. And I've got coffee, but it doesn't get diluted because the ice in it is coffee also. You can do that with a lot of things, but man, I love doing it with this. And this is just the right amount as a little pick-me-up about 4 o'clock when I get tired. So that's life. Well, that's not life. We voted this week. I hope that you voted. If you live here in the U.S., I hope that you got yourself to the polls, or you did it early like I did it, mailed it in, got it there, and voted, because everybody's vote counts. Whether you think it does or not, it really does. So there's life. So I'm going to move on into my little bit of Jesus, and you all know, if that's not for you, I'm so glad you stopped by to spend a little bit of time with me. Stopped by. That's like, it's not like you came to my house, But I'm glad that you clicked on the video. So thank you so much for doing that. And I always appreciate you being here. And I promise I will have more sewing to talk about in the future, which is why you come. So anyway, have a great week. Get some sewing done. I hope you do. I hope I do too. And I will speak to you soon. So till next time. If you did stick around for a little bit of Jesus, I'm so glad you did. And I have this box full of these cards. And you know what? I've been putting so much time and effort into pulling one of these out and thinking about it, and, you know, trying to come up with something that I think is really meaningful and good, and, you know, letting God speak. You know, this time I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to pull one out. I don't even know what the category is. This is divided up into faith, hope, comfort, and love. So I'm going to pull one out of a random category, and I'm just going to see what it says. And now these three remain. You know what I'm going to say, don't you? Faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. 1 Corinthians 13:13. Ah, the love chapter. Well, it kind of speaks for itself, doesn't it? Faith, hope, and love. In high school, we had lockers, and you had an upper portion and a lower portion. On the upper portion where I would put my books, I had the scripture taped. And that reminded me every day that I was loved and that I needed to love others. And yeah, that was a long time ago. But I've read this so many times in my life. And it's so true. The greatest of these is love. But the other two are really right up there, aren't they? Faith, having the faith to get through your life, to keep seeing the next thing ahead, and having the faith that God is going to accomplish that thing. And then hope, the hope that lies before us of heaven. And then love, you know, remembering that our Savior loves us and we are the most important thing to God, each one of us. I heard C.S. Lewis, a quote from C.S. Lewis that I used to have. Well, I think I still have that Bible. I have a little Bible. And I wrote in it, God did not die for all men, but for every man. It kind of puts it in perspective, doesn't it? It's like when we talk about God loving us, and the greatest of these is love, it's because each one of us is the most valuable to him. So anyway, okay, I'm going to quit preaching. I'm going to just leave it there for this week. I hope you get some sewing done this week. And most of all, I say that because I want to get some sewing done this week. And with coffee. Oh man, that's so good. So I will see you then. Thank you for watching, and till next time.